The Subcommittee on National Security will come to order. Without objection, the Chair is authorized to declare recess at any time. A core attribute of sovereignty is maintaining control over national boundaries, yet for years we've witnessed the failure of the U.S. government to secure our southern border. This failure has allowed millions of foreign nationals to enter the United States illegally and has allowed huge amounts of illicit narcotics to be smuggled into the country. This sorry state of affairs has had significant consequences for American taxpayers, for victims of violent crime, and for the rule of law. It is time to secure the border. A central issue of the President's 2006 campaign was the promise to build, quote, an impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful, beautiful southern border wall, end quote. The administration is taking steps to fulfill that promise, and the Subcommittee on National Security is closely monitoring this process. The President issued an executive order on January 25th for the Department of Homeland Security to, quote, take all appropriate steps to immediately plan, design, and construct a physical wall along the southern border, end quote. On March 17th, the DHS issued 2 requests for proposals for prototype designs as a first step in fulfilling the requirements set forth in the executive order. DHS is expected to use these prototypes to inform actual construction. Now, border walls have seen success in recent years. President Trump has identified Israeli border security measures as a potential model for securing the U.S.-Mexico border. The construction of a security fence on the Israel-Sinai border cut illegal entries from over 16,500 in 2011 to just 43 in 2013 and 12 in 2014, a 99% decrease. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, remarked that President Trump is right. I built a wall along Israel's southern border. It stopped all illegal immigration. Great success, great idea. Now, do those who oppose building a wall dispute that success? Or is the reason they oppose building a wall precisely because they acknowledge its potential effectiveness at curbing illegal immigration? I think we have to figure that out. Recent media coverage has focused on the cost of building the wall, and obviously this is a legitimate issue. DHS has only just begun the procurement process, yet opponents of a secure border have resorted to employing exaggerated cost estimates about a border wall. For example, Senate Democrats recently issued a very flawed report claiming that the wall would cost $70 billion. Today's Democratic witness wrote in January, however, that a border wall would cost as much as $14 billion, which is obviously much different than the Senate Democrat estimate. And I think what they did was take the highest historical number they could find and multiply it by the total miles of the border, which I don't think anyone is suggesting is the way to do it. And other opponents of a secure border have parroted the sloppy back-of-the-napkin math that's meant to confuse the issue. And the American people deserve better than misinformation. The wall should be built in a fiscally responsible way, and there are a variety of creative ways, such as by using the seized assets of drug dealers to build it at little or no cost to the American taxpayer. At the same time, what is rarely discussed, but which needs serious inquiry, is whether securing the border will have a positive effect on American taxpayers at the local, state, and federal levels. And today we'll hear testimony from immigration expert Dr. Stephen Camarata on the significant burdens that illegal immigration and having an unsecured border can impose on U.S. taxpayers. Dr. Camarata estimates that if a border wall prevented between 160,000 to 200,000 illegal crossings, which is only about 10% of the expected crossings in the next decade, then the U.S. would realize between $12 and $15 billion in savings. That would effectively offset the cost of building the wall, even if you didn't use the seized drug assets. Of course, securing the border is more about dollars and cents. It's also about our government's duty to secure its borders, defend our sovereignty, and most importantly, protect our citizens. Illegal immigration has had significant human costs. Too many Americans have been robbed of loved ones through crimes committed by criminal aliens who should not have been allowed in this country to begin with. One of them is Mrs. Agnes Giboney, who lost her son, Ronald Da Silva, 15 years ago today. Ronald was murdered by a previously deported illegal immigrant with a long criminal record, and she herself is a legal immigrant from Hungary. Now, she did it the right way, and her son was taken from her by someone who had no right to be in our country. What makes this tragedy and others like it so painful is that Ronald's murder was preventable. Had the government simply done its job and maintained a secure border, the murderer would never have been able to enter our country, and Ronald would still be with us. Building a wall on the U.S.-Mexican border will not stop all illegal immigration, but it's a necessary first step and, consistent with experiences in San Diego and Yuma, has the potential to dramatically reduce it. The United States will also need to deploy additional human, technological, and legal resources. In addition, predictable enforcement of immigration laws in the interior of the United States will restore the rule of law and deter would-be illegal immigrants from attempting to circumvent the laws in the first place. We hope that our witness from the National Border Patrol Council, Mr. Brandon Judd, will speak more broadly about what our officers and agents on the ground see on the border every day and what they need to do their job. This subcommittee will continue robust oversight over these actions to determining how they are meeting the threat posed by a porous border, and we want to make sure that taxpayer money is being used well, that the barrier is being built in an effective way, and we're going to continue to monitor this as this unfolds over the next year and a half. I thank the witnesses for being here today and for their testimony, and with that, I yield to sitting in for my friend from Massachusetts, the ranking member, Mr. Lynch, is Mr. DeSantis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you and